What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Resplendent review and builds guide for Ephraim. Ephraim is a Gen 1 Lance Infantry unit with two weapons, Segment and Flame Segment. So he's one of the few units who was able to get the legendary weapon from his alt, and that is the reason why he is one of the better Gen 1 units. So the normal version of Segment is really not worth using because it just has Hone Attack 3 built into it and only gives you auto follow up if you're above 90% HP. Compare this to Flame Segment, which is a much superior weapon of legendary Ephraim that got the Refine last year. He can get plus 3 attack and he can always get the guaranteed follow-up attack in the player phase, and in the enemy phase, if he wants to get that, he needs to be solo. He can also get plus 4 attack and defense, and the refined part of this weapon needs him to be above 25% HP, and if that condition is met, then he can inflict -5 attack and defense debuff on the foe during the combat, and he can also get special charges on both his attacks and foes' attacks. This means that he can use high cooldown specials like Ignis, Gale Force, and even retaliate back with 2 cooldown specials. So Flame Segment is absolutely the weapon you should be using, even though it will take you more divine dues. As for his stats, he has got pretty high HP after the Resplendent stats, and base 37 attack is pretty decent for the modern times, so you can definitely work with that, and his defense is also workable. There are not too many Lance Infantry units that have the same stat allocation as him that he can be compared to, but his main competition is going to be his own legendary version, who is a Cavalier with that same weapon refine and also has an exclusive skill on top of it. So Lord Brace 2 has got Null Guard built into it, can also provide him healing, and also has Flat Canto 2 built into it. And as a Cavalier, it's a lot easier to get the solo condition. Brave Crown might seem like an odd comparison, but he also has the same effect of special charges in his weapon, and he can also abuse high cooldown specials while also enjoying a fate changed and getting access to so many status effects, and he's also a lot faster. So these Lance Cavaliers are usually going to be picked over the regular version of Ephraim, but still Ephraim does have access to the infantry only skills, which the Cavaliers do not have access to. And with Flame Segment, he's still one of the better Gen 1 units. So if you're a big fan of him, you can definitely invest into him and make him into a pretty fun unit. If you want to run him on a budget, then you can run Deathblow 3 and run Attack Defense Link as his slot B skill. Guard and Hit and Run are also some of the cheaper options that he can run. Now you can also run Fury 3 if you want to as a more mixed phase option, but the chip damage is not going to be having the best synergy with the HP threshold of the weapon, but still the extra speed from Fury can help you bypass follow-up negation units who are slower than him, but still the chip damage is going to be there. You can also run him with Gale Force, and this kind of build is mostly going to be used for Arena Assault and for limited hero battles. If you want to invest a bit more into him, then running Attack Defense Solo in the slot A is something that he can do, and low attack defense is definitely going to be one of the better slot B skills. So by stacking up attack and defense solo, you can definitely get a lot more defense, which is going to be translating to a lot of damage with Ignis, which is going to be a pretty hard-hitting special. We are of course just getting started, and there are definitely a lot more expensive options for Ephraim. One of these options is going to be including Sturdy Surge and Speed Defense Tempo. Now this is a crazy expensive build, and this pretty much tries to mimic what his legendary version does. So he's going to be able to get the healing out of the Sturdy Surge, which can help him maintain the HP of his weapon. And the tempo skill is really good because he's not going to be able to get stopped by the guard skills, and he can still trigger his Ignis and get a lot of healing and do huge amounts of damage with this build. Now again, like I said, speed is actually not that bad on a unit like this who has an auto follow-up, because it can allow you to pierce through a lot of the follow-up negation effects of slower enemies. So even though speed defense tempo might not seem the most optimal, it still works out with this build, and you can of course run a menace skill because he's mainly going to be functioning in the player phase, and then you can just run any kind of offensive Sacred Seal, and attack defense solo as always can work out. If you really want to use his infantry only skills, then attack defense bulwark is going to be the best slot B skill along with attack smoke 4 here, and the bulwark skill can provide him with the self healing and also the obstruct effect, which can be really helpful. And with attack smoke 4, it can definitely help you against many of the enemies who have auto follow-up weapons, because you're able to get the follow-up negation and stop the auto follow-up of those enemies. And if you're going to be faster than a lot of the slower enemies, as it is, you're going to be able to get your own follow-up attack. So in a way, he's able to deal with auto follow-up enemies and also follow-up negation enemies as long as he's able to outspeed them. So attack defense ideal and attack defense bulwark could be obtained from Asker, Attack Defense Ideal is going to be an amazing skill for boosting up his attack to +9, though I just want to make my video future proof. If in future we get attack defense finish, then that is also going to be a really good option for Ephraim, and he can get even more healing out of it, and of course the true damage. So that is always going to be a max investment option whenever we get that skill. But until then, attack defense ideal is going to be amazing. So this is basically going to be a max investment build that could be used in the mix phase, and he can function as a tanky high attack unit who can get a lot of damage out of Ignis and also annoy the enemies with the bulwark effect, providing you that obstruct. And this build is also self-sufficient because of the healing that you can get out of that skill. After this crazy expensive build, you can still use him on a budget in something like Aether's offense. So because he has got the special acceleration in his weapon, it is really helpful for any kind of Gale Force team, especially in the light season where there's no Thor like the Astra season. With Asker being available, you can easily have 4 cooldown Gale Force and also provide infantry pulse support to the other infantry Gale Force units. And by running this kind of build, you can easily just jump in with Wings of Mercy and trigger your Gale Force. And again, Blade Session is going to be helping you get the extra attack and also get the extra speed to double many of the units who have follow-up negation. So that extra speed can always help you with this kind of auto follow-up effect. You can also use him in Aether's Chaos Season with a Double Fury build. Now I know that he does have that HP threshold condition, so you're going to be limiting his attacking options essentially at certain amount of HP, and he's not going to be able to get the special charges. But basically in the Chaos Season with a Double Fury build, he's able to fall into the Wings of Mercy range with 2 combats, and you can also run him with Asker and something like Valyria so that he can have a 2 cooldown Gale Force, and this can really help you just trigger that Gale Force even against a ranged unit and then set up Wings of Mercy for your allies by getting that chip damage. Null follow-up is going to be really helpful here, especially against the units and frontliners that he's not able to kill and they have some kind of auto follow-up like Medius or many of the near save units. So in that case, he's at least able to survive with the null follow-up and not really get killed and still set up Wings of Mercy for his allies. So with this kind of special acceleration weapon, Gale Force is going to be the natural use of him in a competitive mode like Aether Raids. You can also use him at max investment with a more invested Gale Force build, and this is not necessarily for just Aether Raids, but could be used for other game modes as well. So you can run him with Assault Troop 3, which can give him 3 movement, and you can also run the Tempo skill so that your Gale Force is not going to get interrupted by the guard effects. And Quicken Pulse can bring down Gale Force to 4 cooldown, which is really good. Now unfortunately, Assault Troop is counted as a warping skill, so if you're facing some kind of Gatekeeper or Legendary Myr, then it is going to be a bit annoying. And another expensive build that you can run is with Distance Stance and the Bulwark skill. So with max investment, he can actually get 50 plus resistance, and that is not too bad with his high HP and the fact that he can also run Attack Smoke 4 to get the follow-up negation. And with bonus doubler, you're going to be able to make him like an Omni tank, so this is only recommended for a max investment build because this build really appreciates every single stat that he can try and get. You can also finally run him in Arena with B-Dual Infantry 4, and in Arena, Null Follow-Up is going to be really helpful because he can also function in the mix phase, and Null Follow-Up not only helps you bypass follow-up negation units, but it can also help you stop the auto follow-up enemies, which are going to be really annoying, and that can actually save his life many times because the enemy is not able to make an auto follow-up attack. So Null Follow-Up is definitely something I'll recommend, but Lull Attack Defense can also work, and Lull skills are always good for Arena, but I definitely prefer Null Follow-Up for Arena purpose. You're going to be able to retaliate back with Ruptured Sky. You can also run Gale Force actually if you want to, but it's a lot harder to player phase in Arena with an infantry unit, so that's why Ruptured Sky can definitely help you close out some of the matchups. Make sure to share this video with your friends if you enjoyed, and if you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using Super Thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below. And for more Resplendent reviews, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the hopes of people who are expecting a fairy Ephraim to match all of the other Magville Resplendents. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.